In recent years, major insurance companies have fled California, leaving millions of homeowners unprotected. Why? Because the fires have become too frequent, too costly, and some say too predictable. Without private insurers to shoulder the burden, the state government has stepped in, becoming California's de facto insurance provider. But here's the catch. By taking on this massive financial responsibility, California itself is now deeply incentivized to keep property values in check. And what better way to do that than to let, or even cause, these fires to burn?
We now disrupt your regularly scheduled programming.
Greetings, fellow wanderers. Welcome to episode 5 of Wander Beyond. It's kind of a milestone, I feel like. So there's a lot going on now that 2025 has hit, and we're going to get into some current things and some stuff that might be a little bit out there, but we feel like you can all handle it. I'm sure you can.
We're here for it.
That's right. So over to the LA fires. Unfortunately, this episode will probably air after the news cycle is totally moved on to the next item. But there's a couple of things that I thought was important enough that we should touch on them before everything completely disappears. So, like you saw in the little intro there's a lot of speculation as to why and how this all happened. Most people are going to say that it's a completely natural event, and it probably is, but there's a lot of strangeness associated with it, just enough to make you go, something else might be going on. One is the insurance idea. Just 5 months ago, all of the major insurance companies pulled out of California all at one time. A lot of that was because of mismanagement of resources, that they're not cleaning up their forests. They have released all of the rainwater reservoirs into the ocean to try to save a little silverfish, supposedly, because it turned out that the excuses that they made to dump those reservoirs were a lie, that there was no little silverfish that they were trying to save. So there's that. LA sent all of their excess fire equipment to first responders in Ukraine. That was another reason. So in light of all these things, the insurance company said, never mind, we're out of here. We're not covering you people because something bad's going to happen. And sure enough, something bad has happened. So there's a lot of very expensive properties there. I have a little video clip I'm going to show you here in a second that just talks a little bit about that, and then we'll stop after that and talk about it.
That's where it gets dark. Now, let's talk about the technology. Satellite-based weather modification systems, directed energy weapons, and aerial dispersal agents. These are no longer science fiction. These tools, many claim, are being used to deliberately spark and sustain fires in targeted areas. The regions hit hardest are not random. They're areas of high economic and strategic value, where elites can swoop in, acquire land at a fraction of its value, and push their broader agenda.
So it's very similar to ideas behind the Maui fires, where people didn't want to give up their land. They burned the whole place down, and now companies come in and buy up all the land en masse for pennies on the dollars and turn it into resorts or mines or whatever. There was all the disasters in the US, in North Carolina. That's all now going to be lithium mines and precious metals. The LA, that property is so expensive. So yeah, there's a lot of speculation as to that. So getting into some stranger things, there's been a lot of videos, a lot of talk online of strangeness going on in and around the fires. Notably, there were several videos of alleged UFO activity, orbs being seen over spots of the fire. I have some interesting video for that I'm going to show you. And it's not just the LA fire. As I'm going to show you a couple of videos. Whenever there's been huge fires or just other big natural disasters in general, UFO activity spikes during those, and there's a lot of proof of that. So I'm going to show some of that here.
Someone caught.
Also, I put this on just because I think this guy is great. So
Appears to be a orb flying down through the fire and smoke in California. Look. You see that shit? Look like Goku flying through the sky.
so there's that. And that was on a live news story.
What the hell is that?
Right. What is it? Exactly. There's another video I'm about to show you of someone else who recorded either the exact same orb UFO or at least another one exactly like it. And this is in the same fire.
Coming in, the Palisades is our neighbor, Topanga, Mandeville Canyon. We really want to welcome everybody into our city, and also for our residents here who are being evacuated, we want to make sure that they see us there with those that are receiving them at these shelters. So I plan to be wherever I need to be, welcoming people and continuing to push out information. We're asking people to follow our
Watch how low to the ground it gets.
City of Santa Monica Instagram handle. All of us have our own Instagram handles as well. We'll be sharing that information. But santamonica.gov is the best place to go right now to click on all the links and get air quality reports, evacuation updates, and more information on the fire.
Again, also helpful. And before I let you go, a final moment here.
So yeah, it's it's the same thing, and there's videos of that all over. I looked at a lot of videos of UFO activities during these LA fires. I will admit that some of them look pretty hinky, right? Some of it is, people trying to cash in on.
You got to keep that in mind too, with all the AI nowadays and all that.
Exactly. You can, I don't know, when stuff looks too clear, like it just automatically sends off all kind of red flags. So I only am showing the videos that I think are legitimate, and that was one of them. The next one I'm showing you here is actually not the current LA fires, but it was a previous California wildfire. This, I think, was from 2 years ago. But again, the news cameras were showing live footage of this. And if you look, there's two airplanes that fly through the view. And if you look right above it, in the distance in the clouds, you could see a huge cigar-shaped object flying through the sky. Check this out. There's the two planes. Now watch the clouds right above it. You see it's poking out there?
Oh, yeah. Huh.
And they'll show a zoomed in view here in a second, too. And that's far away. So just think of how huge whatever that is.
Right.
Here's the zoomed in view. So that's there.
That's the size of like a city block.
At least. I mean, the camera is far away from the airplanes. The camera is far away from the other planes. So just think about how big that would have to be. Like, look at there. Compare the two. Those airplanes are so much closer than the far away object,
and they're so much smaller while they're that much closer.
Exactly. So that's got to be just ginormous. So again, what the hell is it? I guess they are UFOs, right? They're unidentified flying objects,
right?
Regardless.
We did just do an episode about the East Coast with all the drones, but also the orbs that go with the drones. And
right.
Now people are seeing orbs flying through these fires. Could that all be connected? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And is it something terrestrial? Is it military? Those did not look like drones to me, what we just saw. I think even for drones, those were moving at a really big clip. They were flying.
Is this a government operation where, like you said, so they put on some sort of fake alien invasion, they raise everything to the ground, they buy it all up on pennies on the dollar, and then
Right.
just start taking things over? I don't know.
Yeah. That there's I don't know, insurance fraud isn't the right word, but the insurance companies pulled out, so all the people there were forced to buy the state's insurance policies, and so the state has an incentive not to pay out those insurance
true.
claims, or to pay them out just pennies on the dollar,
Mm-hmm.
and sell off all that land, and who knows. There's also some other theories that I don't have the list here, but there's a long list of Hollywood celebrities who all had homes in San Bernardino and in the whole area, the Palisades. All the people that are allegedly associated with the Diddy videos, with Epstein videos, and now all of those houses are just razed to the ground. They're just gone. So is that some sort of payback, or is it just destruction of evidence?
I was just going to say, that sounds more like destruction of evidence to me.
Right. I know that Hunter Biden's house was totally all the way burnt down to the ground, ashes. All that's standing is a few bricks from his fireplace. And that's awfully convenient.
Yeah.
What was the other thing?
He just got fully pardoned too, didn't he?
For now and all future crimes, yes. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
I also heard stories of sightings of the blue beams like that were seen in the Maui fires.
Sure.
So that's something to think about. Where are those coming from?
Yeah. I couldn't find any videos of them the way we could with the Maui fires, but there are videos of people saying that they witnessed it.
Yeah.
And in that first clip that I showed you, the lady talked about it a little bit, that atmospheric dispersion stuff combined with DEWs, what is it, direct energy weapons, and those things are not science fiction. They're actual government weapons and programs. You can go on right now and look up online. It's not some weird sci-fi fantasy. It's not a conspiracy theory. I see no reason why the U.S. government wouldn't use those weapons on our own people. We'll do a whole episode on that, but the government is absolutely capable of horrific crimes.
Well, there was also the thing in Maui too. Wasn't there a thing where like certain colored roofs weren't affected by those?
Yes, a certain shade of blue.
And I do not. I'm not endorsing it. I don't want to get political. It's just a fact that it's out there. But there was a video of Biden caught on camera whispering to somebody about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Oh, it's the one, the blue roofs or whatever it was.
Yep.
How those weren't to be touched or affected or something like that.
Yep. And there's another similarity between the Maui fires and this one is that all the houses were completely turned to ash. There's nothing, like it's just flat. It's not like there's burnt out houses all around, like though everything's gone except the trees. All the trees in the yard are fine. They even have green leaves on the trees still. How could a fire that intense that took out miles and miles of city in those 100-mile-an-hour winds, right? Hundreds and hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit. How could the trees have survived and still have leaves on them?
Be unaffected, yeah.
Yep. And be completely unaffected. So there's a lot of strangeness. Was it natural? Maybe, probably, but maybe there's other stuff going on. And I think that it's good to ask the question. Somebody needs to look into it. And if
so, there's another thing that sort of ties with this is for several years now, we've had people that have tried to tell other people that there may be some some people that appear like they're human but are not. Maybe we need to start listening to some of these people.
Are they living among us?
Yes.
And yeah, that could all be tied in with the UFO phenomena and just other strangeness, just totally unexplained things in the government and society. Yeah.
I went down that rabbit hole several years ago when I'm not going to get into the details, but something happened that made me look more into it. I'll just put it that way. So at that time, I started really looking at like, what have other people come across? Like, what else is out there? Like, what, am I losing my mind, or, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
That led me into some things. And not shortly after, we have, before all that happened, there was this guy, and I don't know, you told me you remember this story. You're
going to talk about the White House story, right?
Yes. So there was a guy named Kyle Odom who actually got arrested. He's still in jail. He got arrested at Washington, D.C. after he threw his manifesto and a flash drive over the White House fence.
I remember that story. I didn't remember all the stuff that you told me because all that's buried, but I do remember the guy and the fence, and that he threw a manifesto over there and was arrested. I do remember that. Yes.
So in the manifesto, he outlines what happened to him. He had a degree in biochemistry, I believe it was. He was a very intelligent guy. He had a lot going for him. So it's just strange that he would just throw it all away on this. But part of the story involves a plane. So we all remember the lady that was on the plane that said, I don't care if believe it or not, but that mother effort isn't real.
Sure.
So part of his story begins on a plane where when he got on the plane, his seat was taken. So the stewardess redirected him to a new seat. And he said when he sat down, the man in front of him like kept turning around looking at him. And then every time he did it, like his head would hurt and he'd get like a sharp pain. And he said the guys, had like a real evil smile every time this happened. And then he started taking notes. He goes on and kind of, it's like 25 pages long. But long story short, one of the guys on the plane convinced him to go to this place called the altar. It's a church. And he claims that's where they sort of revealed themselves there and wouldn't leave him alone. They sort of just nonstop, they took over his life. So he finally had enough, and he went down with a 45 caliber pistol and shot him almost point blank, just a few feet away, with 12 hollow point rounds. Now,
okay, just to clarify, the guy, the White House guy, took out a gun and shot this other man that he went to meet.
Right. So the guy turned out to be the pastor of this church, and he had been sending him messages. So when he was on the plane, he said somebody kept showing him a track phone as if to say, you need to buy one of these. So he did. And he said about a month later, he started getting these random messages about, do you believe in Jesus? And you need to come down to the altar and see us. And then when he went down there, he said that it's a long story, but they began revealing themselves to him. And so he went down there after all this had happened, and he shot this pastor 12 times with hollow point rounds. So as you know, hollow points aren't just normal rounds.
Yeah, they're people stoppers.
They expand on impact. I mean,
so before you go further, why did he shoot him?
Because the pastor was one of the ones that sort of revealed his true nature, if that makes sense. So he drew a picture in his manifesto. In fact, he actually posted this. Now, he did say, let me share my screen here real quick.
Yep.
He did say in the manifesto that, so he drew a picture of sort of what he felt like the whole composite would be, although he said that it was like when they would reveal themselves to him what they look like, it was never all at once. It would be like their mouth or their eyes or maybe part of their forehead, but never everything at once.
Okay.
So he sort of made a composite. I'll share the screen here. And there's something else that's very interesting about all this. Let me
There's a lot of videos out there of like close-ups of celebrities and politicians where they glitch out a little bit, their eyes change or their shape of their
Right.
neck changes.
Exactly. Now, this is what he posted on Facebook right before he was apprehended. Now, there's the little drawing of
Okay.
the composite. So he said he never saw all this together, but they would reveal little things like just the eyes or the nose. Now, the interesting thing about this too is, so people started looking into this. There's some Sumerian etchings, like in, like the ancient, like on tablets and things that have, aliens on them that look almost exactly like this.
Sure.
So it's just something that's interesting, So his final Facebook post was, "Things are not what they appear to be. This world is ruled by an ancient civilization from Mars. Pastor Tim was one of them, and he was the reason why my life was ruined. I'll be sharing with my story with as many people as possible. I don't have the time right now. They are chasing me. I shot Pastor Tim 12 times. There is no way any human could have survived that event. Anyway, I have sent my story to all the major news organizations. I have no time. I have to go." And he was arrested shortly after. So not only did he shoot him 12 times, but he shot him with hollow point rounds. The amazing thing is that included a shot to the head. And he not only survived, but was, I believe, out of the hospital 24 hours later.
Jeez. Yeah, no person's going to survive that.
No, and like I said, not only did he survive it, but he was like, okay, 24 hours later. That's just,
why do you think they chose to reveal themselves to him?
Well, so he had been prior military. He was, an intelligent guy. I don't know. He outlines why in his manifesto, why he believes. I'd have to reread it again, but
okay.
But he talks about that.
Huh.
So he said he had been doing some very deep meditation to try to get through school because there was a lot of stress and all that. And that's when he sort of first made contact with some other entity. And then it sort of evolved from there. So
sure. Excuse me. A lot of people say that when they really focus on meditation, when they make it a part of their lives and get really good at it, that they can communicate with other planes, other people, other entities. So if he was meditating and he was focused and good at it, and they were trying to communicate with someone, I can see that happening.
And all I'm saying is we shouldn't be so quick to call people crazy all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there's other psychedelics and things that people use for the same purpose. I know there's a stigma attached to that, but there's a lot of psychedelics in shamanism and things throughout human history. And I think there's a lot of legitimacy to that it is possible to connect to other people, other beings. So,
right. At the end of his manifesto, he listed, there's maybe 30 to 50 politicians who he said also were these things that, are like among us.
Yeah. I've seen other posts of people talking about similar things and pointing out specific celebrities, politicians, and people of importance.
Right. And then
Gavin Newsom's actually the governor of California is one that shows up on that list all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
And then there was this famous 1988 movie. You've seen it, They Live.
Yep, that's
it's a corny 80s movie.
It's totally corny, but it's also so eye-opening.
So the thing is after the movie, Roddy Rowdy Piper, the wrestler that was in that movie, he was quoted as saying, that's more of a documentary than it is a movie.
Yeah.
So here's a little clip if you let me share that.
Yes.
So
awesome. Everybody, even if you've never seen the movie, you've seen the memes. The one where the guy's got the sunglasses on, he takes them off and he sees two different things.
Right. So in the movie, he's got these glasses that when he puts them on, he can see the true world around him.
Right.
So he'll see an advertisement, and then the advertisement will disappear, and he'll see the subliminal message.
Yes.
Or everyone looks human, and then he puts the glasses on, and like you're going to see in this clip. And let me just share this real quick.
Yep. Share it, and I'll pop it up there.
Okay.
I highly recommend the movie if you haven't.
This is a great movie, and I know it's a corny
really
80s movie, but it's a good movie. It's very eye-opening. So here's him with his glasses, and this is the first time he sort of notices this.
Yep.
What's your problem? I said, what's your problem?
How are you today, sir? Okay, how's it going? Fine, thank you. Here you are, sir. Thank you.
So yeah, there is.
That's great.
It's a great movie.
It is, and that it's the whole movie's filled with examples like that.
Yeah, that's just one of many. But the premise of the movie is the same thing, that there are these beings that live among us that look just like us that you would never know, but
yes,
they're there. Now, digging more into it, there is something called, I don't know if you ever heard of it, called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. It's an ancient Egyptian text.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring that up.
Okay.
It's just a little clip, but they talk about it briefly in there. Pull that up. Okay, so this is just part of the book where they talk briefly about it. So, serpent-headed when the glamour was lifted, but appearing to men as men among men, crept they into the councils, taking forms that were like unto men, slaying by their arts the chiefs of the kingdoms, taking their form and ruling over man. Only by magic could they be discovered. Only by sound could their faces be seen. Sought they from the kingdom of shadows to destroy man and rule in his place. But know ye, the masters were mighty in magic, able to lift the veil from the face of the serpent, able to send him back to his place. Came they to man and taught him the secret, the word that only man can pronounce. Swift when they lifted the veil from the serpent and cast him forth from the place among men. Yet beware, the serpent still liveth in a place that is open at times to the world. So according to them, unseen they walk among thee in places where rights have been said. Again, as time passes onward, shall they take the semblance of men. So,
and repeat again. What is this from?
This is from. It's called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. It's an ancient Egyptian text.
Okay, I'm writing that down because I want to look it up. Tabs of Thoth.
So this isn't some new weird thing that we're coming up with. I mean, this has been around for a long time.
Sure.
So now here's this takes us to that lady on the plane. That this was the big thing in the news cycle for a while, and everybody was quick. Everybody was very quick to call her crazy, but me again, not so much. So when I saw this the first time, what really struck me was she was actually very troubled.
Yeah.
This isn't someone that had a couple too many beers and was just sloshed. I mean, she was visibly shaken.
Yep.
So that stood out to me right away. But of course, we live in a society now where everyone just wants to make memes and
exactly.
And so
she was torn to shreds, and she just disappeared after that because what do you do with your life after that?
Right. And then you have, I hope, a clip you're going to show us after I show this one about that. Oh, no, I have that.
Yeah, okay. I didn't pull it up because you said you had it.
That's right. I do.
All right, don't scare me.
Sorry.
All right. So here's the whole. You have the whole clip, right?
Well, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Let me share.
because the whole clip is so much more interesting than just the little 3 seconds that they showed on the news all the time.
Right. Okay, so here we go. Now this is a little bit small. Let me see if I can enlarge it. All right, here we go.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to. And there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that back there is not real.
So there's that clip, and I know everybody's seen that.
Yep.
So again, that's not somebody that, she's very troubled there. Obviously, she saw something.
Yeah, I mean, she was panicked. She was completely upset.
So, we shouldn't just be so quick to call everybody crazy. Now, it gets more interesting after that. And so she sort of disappeared for a while. We didn't hear anything from her. There was no statement. There was nothing.
Yep.
Then, I don't know how long, a month later, she comes back on these shows and starts talking about, it was nothing. She just poo-pooed the whole thing. And I was just having a bad day or whatever. But then there's this. I'm going to show you this clip about the face match. This is very interesting. Okay, here we go.
The airplane lady.
Those people aren't real.
No one's been able to track her down,
Oh,
right?
no.
She just popped up this past week on TMZ.
It's basically her just saying, I apologize. I shouldn't have done that. When I saw it, I was like, that doesn't look like her. We didn't know who she
I was
was.
just going to say that. They don't look the same.
A name. She started a new Twitter account when she posted this video. The first person she followed was TMZ. So people started doing some AI face detection. There's this guy that does it online professionally. And he says, if you get a score 0.6 or below, it is the same.
Oh.
The real Tiffany.
And it's not her.
1.2. Guy's like, I was not expecting this. He's
Wow.
like, this makes me really interested. One other dude checks her IP address from the video. Okay. Guess where it tracked to?
TMZ headquarters.
Texas. 2 blocks away from the White House. Washington, D.C.
Stop it right now!
So did she see something? And then they put in a double, be like, this was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
The airplane.
So that's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting. So, yeah, I remember she disappeared. I remember, wasn't there some video, and maybe that's the one they're talking about, where she came on and said no, it wasn't anything or whatever, and it was like a hostage video where she was just square to the camera. No, that wasn't anything. I just had a little too much, and I'm sorry. I regret everything. So she disappears. No one can find her. No one can recognize her. Then she pops up on TMZ.
Yeah.
They do facial recognition on her, and it comes up if it's 6 or 0.6 or below, right? I assume 0 would be a perfect layover match.
Right.
So 0.6 is more than likely it's a match. She scored 1.2, which is over double the no-go limit. So
yep.
AI detection says, no, that's not the same person.
The first thing I noticed before I even saw that clip was the second one that started making her rounds afterwards. Her mouth and teeth don't look the same to me.
Right. I didn't think the eyes looked the same either.
Yeah. And then I saw that and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So someone went in, found her IP address where the video was sent from, tracks it down, and it winds up being 2 or 3 blocks away from the Capitol building or the White House.
The White House.
The White House. So if you've ever been to Washington, D.C., there's no residences anywhere around there. It's all government buildings for blocks and blocks and blocks.
Yeah, who's like, hey, I live 2 blocks from the White House.
Right. Yeah, no one. No. no one does.
Mm-hmm.
So
what the hell is that?
is it is she a government actor, or was she coerced into making that confession, and then it was broadcast from a government building? Either way, it's a government building. The IP address has to be.
And then it clearly is not her. Right.
Right. So I don't know. Strangeness.
Pretty odd. So these things all happened long after I told you about my little incident. And again, I'm not going to get into the details now. Maybe there's a time for that. But
right. If you wanted Jason to talk about it, leave comments down below.
Leave comments. Let us know. It's not something I'm real comfortable with. So maybe that's something we'll get to sometime.
All right.
But there is something, and this was pretty recent, and I sent you this immediately when I saw it. So I will say this. My job at the time involved deliveries, and a lot of it was seeing the same people every day. And I'm going to have you watch this clip, and I'm going to say that my encounter that I told you about, this was several years ago before this.
Yep.
Was very eerily similar to what this guy says in this clip. I'm going to show you that right now.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Let me see if I can full screen this.
Today, I experienced something that I've never experienced in my life before. Freaked me out. Thought I was crazy. Still haven't processed it fully. So, as I do every week, twice a week, I make deliveries to the same guy. I've been doing it for 7 months. And it's the same guy every time I walk in. He's got a big garage with like a couple trucks in it. I walk in, I hand him his parts. We talk for a minute. I walk away. I go on my business. Today, I walked in, and he had his back to me, and he was working on his bench. And he must have heard me coming. I don't know, because I was actually pretty quiet, I thought. But when he turned around, I jumped and kind of grabbed my mouth like that because I didn't know what to think. And he laughed a little bit, and he called me jumpy. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just not feeling very good. And I handed him his part, and I was like, hey, I got to go. The reason I reacted that way is because when I looked at him, he was different. He didn't look like the same guy I saw every other time. First thing I saw was he had no color in his eyes. They were completely black. Like black. Like you couldn't even see reflections. It was just a black mass. And for some reason, his ears were kind of weird, and they had like this little point like that. I don't know what that was. Excuse me. But then I was talking to my friend, gave me an article about them saying that a new disorder that's coming out where people are starting to see demon faces in people. And it got me thinking, if they're putting something like that out, could it be a disorder, or is it God is actually letting people see demons and they're just trying to make it look like we're crazy?
So that's pretty much that.
He looks upset. He's on the verge of tears that whole time.
He is. His eyes were like watery the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of this out there.
Huh. I don't even know what to say after that. Yeah. There's definitely something going on. There's just an energy about all the time now.
Don't you tangibly feel it? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think everybody does.
Yeah, everyone's kind of on edge. Everyone's sort of, retracting, into themselves and figuring out which side they're on and who they want to be around, and things are becoming more separated as people withdraw.
Right. Now, how about this? Because, I know we talked before on one of the episodes about, I remember I asked you, I said, do you remember feeling this way, like in the 80s growing up, just this type of, I just don't remember. Maybe it was because we were too young,
sure,
but it sure didn't feel like this. And then as we get older, there's that, what is that called? The particle accelerator, the Hadron Collider?
The CERN?
Right, CERN, right? So then there was, remember that video with the kids saying like,
oh, you're talking about the Mandela effect.
Exactly. So maybe we did shift into some sort of like alternate reality, and now all these things are happening.
I'm a big believer in the Mandela effect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So could it be something like that where like things really have shifted?
Yeah, it could be. That's something we'll get into very soon, because I want to talk a lot about quantum physics and string theory. And when you get into string theory, it's very much about that and how actually easy it is to jump timelines just based on vibration. And I'm a big believer in it.
And then going back to all this that we just showed, is it possible that these people are telling the truth?
Right.
What do you think?
Are you asking me, or are you asking
both?
The viewers?
I'm asking all of you and you.
Yes, I do think. I think about that all the time, especially with like the airplane lady as an example. Everyone's, oh, she's crazy. But then if you just step back and you go, yeah, but what if she's not?
Right. And no one ever thinks about that side of it.
What if she's not? That, then what? And I think, people laugh and they blow it off and they call her crazy because everything else is too big of an idea. It's too scary of an idea. It's too much of a leap in faith. It's just a bridge too far to think that she could be telling the truth.
I mean,
so it's just easier to just jump on the bandwagon and just laugh and point a finger. And
exactly. It's so easy to do that. And then you also know when you do that, you're going to be on like the winning side, because no one's, no one's going to call you crazy for making fun of her or fun of that guy.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the easy, it's like betting on a big favorite when you're in sports betting. It's really easy to do, and you're probably going to win, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's sort of what we're trying to do here on Wander Beyond. We're trying to look at all these strangeness and go, oh, wait a minute. What if? What if that's real? What if that video is actually, what if those orbs we just saw, what if those are UFOs? What if? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the implications.
It's time we have to start considering the others, like those things.
Yes.
They can't all be crazy.
Right.
So, that movie They Live was made in 1988. So what did he mean when he said that wasn't a movie, that was a documentary?
It was a documentary, right?
What did he know? I mean, I do highly recommend that movie for everybody to watch.
Yeah. I'm been trying to talk my wife into watching it with me, so we're gonna do that soon. Yeah. He seemed Rowdy Piper. He definitely was a believer in what he said. So he had to get information from somewhere. The makers of the movie, it was pretty low budget, so it wasn't a lot of Hollywood actors and big name directors. It was a lot of small people who saw things and knew things.
Exactly. And think about the girl on the plane. What incentive does she have? She bought a ticket. She's sitting on this plane. They're ready to go. She's traveling somewhere. So for her to get up and do that, she knows, like, there goes the trip, there goes the everything.
There goes my
And
life. Yeah.
she saw something, obviously.
Yep.
You don't just react that way for no reason.
Sure. And that's a good point, that whether or not what she said was true or not, she believed what she said.
Right.
She thought that she saw it. So what did she see? What could she possibly have seen?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. All right. Well, there's a lot to think about there. Like I said, by the time this episode airs, it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks at least after the newsreels that I just showed you. So I sincerely hope that everyone is safe out west, and I don't wish anyone any harm.
Me too.
And I hope that things get settled soon. And hopefully by the time this episode airs, it will have been, that the fires would have been put out. God, I hope so, because if not,
I hope so. Right.
If not, holy cow.
But I do also want to point out that as soon as the media decides it's time to move on to something else, nobody will care about it anymore.
Yep. Yeah. There's still people in North Carolina living in tents by the river.
Right. And remember how outraged people were just a week or two ago, and now no one even talks about it.
They are still like literally living in outdoor homeless camps, and there's just no money because it was all sent to Ukraine.
But now you got this to focus on, so forget that. And it's funny how quickly people become experts on things that the media, decides we're going to talk about.
Yep.
And they get all outraged and they have all, all these facts. And then next week they move on to something else and that's old news.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there.
All right. Well, everyone, again, thank you for tuning in to episode 5 of Wander Beyond. We really do sincerely appreciate it. Please leave comments, criticisms.
Please leave comments.
Please.
If you've had experiences with the things we're talking about, talk about them. If you want me to talk more, comment about that.
If you want to come on this show and talk about things that you've seen, give me your email. We'll talk.
But be sincere. Don't come on here with some bullshit though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk to people before. We'll try to weed them out.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Till next time, keep wandering.
Keep questioning.
Everything. Question everything. Take care.
Later.